Welcome to Python Programming Language video tutorials by Shine India Pvt. I am your Posubabu Sir, Technical, Quant, Logical Reasoning Trainer. In this presentation, I would like to discuss string operators. Without wasting much time, let's start and discuss about operators from the string. Now, let me write here string operators. What are the various string operators we have here? So the first one is string concatenation. Concatenation. So concatenate operator. And the second one is replication operator. And the third one is string comparison operator. So string comparison operators. Right? So under this comparison operators, so it further classified into different ways. So the first comparison operator is equality operator. And the second one is not equal to. And the third one is greater than. And fourth one is less than. And fifth one is greater than or equal. And sixth one is less than or equal to. So these are the different comparison operators we have. Now let us discuss one upon one. So at first I would like to discuss concatenate operator. So what is concatenate operator and what is the symbol we are going to use in order to represent this operator? Now, let me write here the symbol we are going to use in order to represent concatenate operator, which is what? Plus. So this is what the symbol we are going to use in order to concatenate two strings. Now, this concatenate operator means what? So concatenate means combining. Let me write here, combining two strings. So which is represented what here? Concatenate. Now, let me take one example so that you could understand in a better way. Suppose here A points a string that is hello. B points another string that is Python. Right? Now, let me use this concatenate operator. So A plus B. So here plus is called as concatenate operator. So it acts on two operands. It acts on two operands. Hence, this concatenate operator, so we can call it as binary operator. Binary operator. So I hope you could understand. Now, what would be the output you will be getting over here? So you will be getting the output as hello Python. So if you observe here, there is no gap you are getting, right? So if you want to get a gap over here, so you have to provide the space over here. So I hope you could understand. Now, if I have taken, so one more string, so let me take, so C is equal to, and which points here, hi. Now, if you are writing the expression over here, A plus B plus C, so then what could be the output you will be getting here? Now, if you observe here, if you want to concatenate two strings, what you have to do is you need to have or you need to use two concatenate operators in order to add three strings. So if I want to add 20 strings, you have to use 19 concatenate operators. Right? So then what could be the output you will be getting over here? So you will be getting hello Python hi, right? Now let me execute it the same in my IDE so that you could understand in a better way. So let me open my IDE. So let us take here A is equal to hello and B points Python, C points hi. Now, let us perform the action called over here. So print A plus B. Execute it. So you could understand what happened over here. Now, let me write here print A plus B plus C. right? So three strings has been added over here. So if you want to get the gap between uh, A and B and C, so provide the gap over here, one space, one white space. Now you could see the output. So we are getting gap over here, right? So I hope the idea of concatenate operator is clear to everybody. Now let's go back and discuss the next operator, that is a replication operator. So what is a replication operator? Replication operator can be represented using multiplication operator, that is asterisk symbol, right? So this symbol we are going to use in order to represent this replication operator, right? So from these strings. Now, what we can do using this replication operator? So using this replication operator, so we can create multiple copies of the string. Let me write here. So it creates multiple copies of the string. So we can generate or create multiple copies of this string. Now, how do you represent? So let me give you a small example so that you could understand in a better way. Now let me erase over here. So let us take, so A is a variable which points Python, right? Now let me take some K is equal to 2. Now, if I have written an expression called A asterisk symbol and K, so which means what? So we are creating a copy of A, how many times? 2 times. So K times A will be printed. K times A will be printed. So here K is an integer. K is an integer. I hope you could understand. So can we write the same expression as, so K into A? Yes. So both are correct expressions. So here also we are printing K times of A. So I hope you could understand. So let me execute the same thing so that you could understand in a better way. Let me go back to my IDE. So let me erase this one. And here I'm writing, so A into some 2. Now you could see the output. So this hello has been printed twice, right? So let me remove this space. You could see, right? Now I want 10 times. So 10 times hello has been printed, right? Now let me use the print statement, right? I hope the idea of a replication operator is clear to everybody. So if you are providing a space, so we will be getting space, right? Now, if I have used here print of A into 0, right? So if it is 1, you will be getting one time hello printed, right? Now let me copy it. So if you are multiplying with a 0, right? If you are multiplying with a 0, then what would be the output we will be getting? Now you could see empty, right? So that empty string you could see, let me erase the print statement so that you could understand. Now you could get an empty string. You could get an empty string if you are multiplying with a 0, right? So which means we need 0 copies of A. So it provides what? An empty string. So I hope you could understand. Now, is it A into 10 is equal to 10 into A? Now let me execute the same thing here. So instead of writing A into 10, I'm writing here 10 into A. So in both the cases, we have to get similar output. You could see A into 10, what output we got. Even 10 into A, we got the same output. So both are acceptable. So here, clearly, if this 10, so whatever the number you are writing here, that number you have to take from the integer values, right? Now, if you are taking an integer value that is 0 over here, so it returns what? An empty string, right? So if you are writing here a into some negative integer, that is some -2. So -2 copies of a. So in this case also, it returns an empty string. You could see the same empty string we are getting. So I hope you could understand, right, what I have explained so far. Right, now let's go back and discuss the next one, comparison operators. Now, what is the role of comparison operators? Let me erase this. So this comparison operators role is, so they are used in order to compare these strings. So let me write the same thing. So this comparison operators are used in order to compare the strings. To compare the strings. Right. So how the comparison will be done? Now you have to remember certain points when we are comparing the strings. Right. The first point is it so capital K, small k, both are same? Is it capital A and small a both are same? Since Python is case sensitive, Python is case sensitive, so both are different. So capital A is different from small a, right? So do remember this point when you are comparing the strings. So this is what the point number one that you have to remember it. Now, the second point you have to remember over here is, so suppose if I have written here APPLE and APPLE, so which string is greater? So if you observe here, so capital A is different from small a, right? So comparison, when you are comparing these strings, on what basis the comparison can be done, right? So comparison never be done based on the characters. Based on the characters, comparison cannot be done. Comparison can be done based on the ASCII values for the characters. So we have ASCII values for every character. So we know that ASCII value for capital A is 65 and ASCII value for a small a is 97, right? So the comparison cannot be done on the basis of these characters. So comparison can be done based on the ASCII values for these characters, right? So here ASCII value of capital A is 65, small a is 97. Clearly 65 less than 97. So this string is less than this string. So I hope you could understand the idea of how to compare the strings, right? Now let's discuss the first one. So equal to equal to. So which means what? Equality operator. So this operator checks whether the two strings are equal or not. If both the strings are equal, let me erase these things. If both the strings are equal, then it returns, it returns, it returns true. Else, it returns what? False. Right? Now, let me take one example and execute the same thing in my IDE. If both the strings are equal, then it returns true. Else case, it returns false. Let me go back to my IDE. So let us take one more string here. So I'm going to take some b is equal to, so in this case, so I'm taking hello. Right now, let me check a equal to b. So here we are comparing the strings, right? Using equality operator. Now you could see it returns false because so capital H is different from small h. So ASCII value of capital H is different from small h. So for better understanding, let me take here. So I'm taking, so in this case, so I'm taking hello. Right now, let me check a equal to equal to b. So here we are comparing the strings, right? Using equality operator. Now you could see it returns false because so capital H is different from small h. So ASCII value of capital H is different from small h. So for better understanding, let me take here apple, and this one apple. Now execute it. So it returns false, right? So this ASCII value is what actually 65, and this ASCII value of small a is what? It is 97. So both are not equal. So in this case, it returns false. Suppose if it is capital A, if it is capital A, then it returns true. Then it returns true, right? So I hope you could understand how equality operator is working. Now let's go back and you could see not equal to operator. So what it is doing, both the strings are, if both the strings are, let me write here, if and here. If both the strings are not equal, then it returns true, else it returns false, right? Now let me go back to my IDE and explain the same thing by using one example, right? Now let us take here small a. Now, if you observe here, both the strings are not equal. Let me write not equal to operator. So if both the strings are not equal, then it in this particular case, it returns true, right? So else case, which means suppose if I have taken capital A, in this case, it returns false. So I hope you could understand. So let me write all the expressions, remaining expressions also same. So I hope everybody clearly understand what we can convey here. So now let me write here print of A equal to B. Now let me write here print of A greater than B. Now let me write one more expression A less than B. Now print A greater than or equal to B. So print A less than or equal to B. Now let me execute it. What happened? You just try to observe. So since first one is what? A not equal to B. So is it A not equal to B? So both are same, right? So hence it returns what? False. Now in the second case, A equal to B. So it is true. So same characters we have here. So ASCII values are so same. So in this case, it returns true. Now, is it A greater than B? So ASCII values are same means same expression, same values, ASCII values. Hence, so we will be getting so false, right? It returns what? False, right? A less than B. In this case also it returns what? False. Now A greater than or equal to, since here we have equal to symbol, it returns what? True. Here also we have equal to symbol, hence it returns true. So I hope everybody understood these comparison operators. So comparisons can be done based on ASCII values for the corresponding characters, but not based on the characters. So do remember this point so that you could understand in a better way of this concept. So if you clearly understood what I have conveyed so far, please like, share, and subscribe our channel. Thanks for watching.